Hello, everyone. Welcome to the LOCKBEARD Phenomena number 102. Trovants, the Living Stones. It is Saturday, August 19th, 2023. Got several people over there watching on Rumble, I see. Thank you for coming. And on YouTube, Danny says a better topic would be why islands suck. Yeah, islands, there's some problems with living on islands, sure. But there might be some benefits too. If you were a very rich person and you were trying to collapse society and cause chaos and war on the mainland, you would be pretty safe on an island. Yep, you might be pretty safe on an island. Like Maui, like Hawaii, the whole chain. Angel's here, welcome. Rex is here, welcome. Uncle Bones, welcome. What's up? Everybody's getting the highs and hellos in. Don't see anyone in the chat on Rumble, so hopefully one day they make it where Rumble chat comes over in the StreamYard too, and just. Well, what I'd like to do is like some people where they have the chat over here on one side of the screen so that you can see the chat. It's kind of nice to have in the live streams that I've watched where they had that. I could see if I was shadow banned by YouTube, because you put your chat in over here and you think everybody sees it, but and including the host. But if the chat's over here on the screen, you can see that your chat didn't go through. The host isn't seeing your chat, and probably no one else, because YouTube does that whole shadow banning thing. We need a YouTube alternative where that's not even an option. It can't even happen. It should never happen. If people talk, they talk. There's no reason to censor people's speech. If they say something against the law on your chat room, it's the same as if they said it out in the public square, right? There ain't a lot that's against the law to say, so it's not your responsibility to police people. It's the police's responsibility. So sick of YouTube doing that shit. And it's happening over on Rumble too. Rumble, there's censorship going on in the chats, even on free speech channels, like Russell Brand's channel. Now, Russell Brand, the title of his show is Stay Free. He's always talking about being free, but he's got moderators over there censoring people's chats and blocked me out of the chat. They didn't like stuff I was saying. If your moderators, Russell Brand is probably never going to see this, but if you do, Russell Brand, or anybody that's got, who's got his ear, if you're free speech, you don't really need moderators. And now, if there's a spam bot, okay, but even that's not too big of a deal, because usually they shoot their wad and they go. But if you can't keep your moderators on the program, right, where they don't censor free speech, even if someone's calling the host names, you call me names, I'll call you names back probably. That's free speech. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's America. I can understand how Russell Brand, being a foreigner, might not be totally familiar with what real freedom is. Calls his show Stay Free. Doesn't quite understand what freedom is, because he's got moderators that are censoring speech. I know. I was there. It happened to me in his chat. So Russell Brand, change the name of your show until you get it figured out, or get your moderators on the right track, because your moderators are censoring people's free expression. and that's a fact. And it's happened to me multiple times on your channel, Russell. So get it together, buddy. We're changing the name of your show to not quite free. It's not stay free. It's not quite free. Donald's here. He says, "Hi folks, I'm lurking. Broke my wrist today. Holy shit, dude. Legs gave out on me. So hi to everyone. Holy shit, dude. That's not good. Sorry to hear that." Danny says, "Yeah, they're really safe in Hawaii. What's the body count up to?" Yeah, but that's poor people body count. That's not Oprah or Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos or any of the other douchebag millionaires that are over there occupying and buying up and using tricky legal maneuvering to steal land from the natives, and yet another forced relocation of native peoples. Apparently, we're not done. Apparently, America's not done forcibly relocating natives. Now, I'm sure you don't mind, letting the natives keep their island nation, do you? You don't want it, do you? But these rich billionaires do, and they're willing to steal and use sneaky methods to take it away from the natives. So there's something wrong there, something very wrong. I personally, I think that they should, if they let your houses burn down, you know that, right? They let your houses burn down. They may not have started the fire, but the failures, and also they let some of you burn up. The cops kept those people blocked in and didn't let them escape, and they were turning people back towards the fire and all kinds of shit. They murdered the citizens over there. You guys should be up at arms, literally weapons in hand, and the people are responsible for killing the citizens. The founding fathers, you know what they would have done to those kind of people. You probably need to be doing the same. And in any real world, I ain't advocating for anything. I'm just saying. In a place like Hawaii, where you're far from federal reinforcements, you could get a lot done before the feds arrive, and then when they do, you can just hopefully just not comply and just make a stand and try to get the word out that you guys are being occupied against your will. You just have a lot more opportunity to make change through the means that Thomas Jefferson and other founding fathers would have advised, and what they did when faced with tyrannical government. And what we have is tyrannical government. There's no one that's got a lick of sense in their head can deny that what we have right now is tyrannical government, trying to act like it's not, but it is. I think you'd be totally well within your rights to start leveling some shit. And I wouldn't be able to fault you at all. So yeah, go Hawaii, like out of the union. Save yourselves if you can. The rest of us are probably doomed, but maybe Hawaii can exit. Just make sure those billionaires have nothing to come back to. You don't. That is by design, I believe, at this point, that they made sure that happened, and neither should they. Heal up, Donald. So the Okanagan is on fire? Yeah. A lot of dry areas, man. I live near some hillbillies. I wish they could relocate. You don't like the hillbillies? I thought you were about half hillbilly anyway, aren't you? I mean, you live in South Carolina. I think by law you have to be half hillbilly or you have to move. Hello, Sleeping Beauty. Welcome to the chat. Raptors here. Says, hell, I get blocked for asking questions on all kinds of channels. These channels keep saying the same thing over and over like I do, and most of it is from the Blue Wrenches. But, hey, that don't happen here, does it? I might bitch at you. but I ain't blocking you, and the mods ain't blocking you, so, you know. Welcome back, Raptor. Everyone in chat, hope all is good. Uncle Bones here, welcome. Says, hello, my oldest brother passed away this morning. Other than that, it's been a good day. Holy shit, dude. Sorry to hear that. Damn. Bad day for a lot of people. Big money buys a lot of police. Yeah, but the police still don't outnumber the people. So, Hawaiians, take that how you will. The police do not outnumber you. And if you need to, you can overcome them. You just got to do it, you know? Make sure you got enough men who are on your side and ready to go. Yeah, condolences to Uncle Bones. And he said, just because you can hunt and fish don't make you a hillbilly. That's hilly country over there, right? Hilly country. Raptor says, Uncle Bones, sorry to hear that. Losing a family member sucks ass. Trust me. Rex says, sorry to hear that, Uncle Bones. So I found a picture, and I think this picture might be the most convincing pile of Bigfoot shit I've ever seen. Might be the most convincing pile of Bigfoot shit I've ever seen. What do y'all think? It's got to be Bigfoot shit, right? Donald says condolences to Uncle Bones. So does Sleeping Beauty. So does Lockbeard. So is that a pile of Bigfoot shit or what? What is that? I guess y'all made it 2 hours later than normal. It was just too damn hot. Computer wasn't going to function. I had to put it in where it was cool, somewhere where it was cool. I didn't put it in a refrigerator this time because it's too cool. When I've done it in the past to get out of the refrigerator, it's nice and cool for a little bit, but it also condensation forms on the computer, and that's no good. That's no good. Danny says, sorry to hear that, Bones. Uncle Bones says, thank you, Lockbeard. That's a huge pile. Yeah. If you're told that's a pile of shit, you know, you might actually believe that's a pile of shit. That's actually not a pile of shit, though. Danny says, looks like a pile of rocks to me. Rex says, damn, it was 109 degrees today. Yeah, it got hot today. It didn't get 109 here, but it got hot enough where my laptop will just shut the hell down. And so I had to let it sit somewhere in the cool air so it wouldn't keep putting it through that shit. It's going to kill it. Angel Nolan says rocks. Maybe a Torontosaurus dump, says Rex. Danny says, lost my mom and oldest brother last year. I feel you, Bones. Raptor says, Lockbeard, yes, I understand what you were saying. I was talking about the other channel you were talking about. Yes. wonder if we can get a closer look at this. That there, yeah, that is not a pile of shit. Rocks is technically not correct either. Technically, that is a rock. A rock that some people believe is actually a living rock. So we're getting into some weird scientists. Geologists ain't 100% sure exactly what's going on here. It doesn't appear. They got their hypotheses, and they've cut some of these into pieces and analyzed them, and trying to figure out what the deal is. You know, because a rock growing isn't necessarily an unusual thing. Stalactites and stalagmites grow in caves, but we know what the mechanism is there, right? And it's not totally unrelated in the case of Trovants. Crystals grow. If it's a single crystal, it's the technical. A lot of people don't realize, you know, if you're not educated in geology like I am, I minored in it. I didn't get a bachelor's or anything, but I did minor in geology because I preferred it to the alternative. For typically environmental majors are told to get a safety management minor, and I didn't really care for safety management courses. I still had to take some. My problem with safety management is a lot of it's just common fucking sense. It's boring. It's boring. Geology is not boring at all to me. Now, other people look at it like, this is boring. It's just a fucking rock. Man, there's a lot of shit going on in every rock that most people, they just look at, it's just a rock. Yeah, but dude, there's a billion-year-old story to that rock. And, you know, it's just, anyway, most people don't know. But so the reason why I jumped off on that is like crystals. When you have a single crystal, you know, it's not a rock yet. But the moment you have two crystals that are, you know, grown together or concreted together, you're technically got a rock there, because a rock is two or more. It's multiple crystals. Like, so an ice cube, if it has multiple different crystals in it, technically an ice cube is a rock, because water is a mineral. It just happens that it's molten, a liquid form, once it gets above 32 degrees, freezing temperatures. So a lot of people don't really understand that an ice cube is technically a rock, but we normally don't refer to it as such, but it is. Uncle Bone says, Danny Stanton, condolences for you, my friend from South Carolina, and from us all. So yes, this is one rock right here, and these rocks. Now this one here is obviously not going to be a very good at moving, but a lot of these Trovants do move. Trovants grow and they move typically, but now we talked about what was that, like Death Valley or whatever, where they have the rocks that leave a track and they travel, and for a long time it was a mystery, how do those rocks travel? And it turned out that what happens is they'll get some water in there, in that basin. It'll, you know, you get enough rain, the water, and it'll freeze, and the rocks will be made to be buoyant because they're incorporated into the ice on the surface. And then when the ice breaks up and the wind starts blowing the ice, it drags those rocks along, and so it looks like the rock is moving, but it's from the ice. Donald says Uncle Bones, he was in El Paso. But I thought this was just an interesting Trovant. Most of them don't look, quite like that, but yeah. So let's hold on a second. Let's take a look at. Got some videos to talk about it to get you kind of an idea of what we're looking at and talking about. Just a second. If the computer will cooperate. All right. Here we go.
Again, when we think of Romania, the first thing that comes to mind, at least for me, is vampires, specifically Dracula. But there's more to Romania than these blood-sucking beings. In fact, Romania is home to one of the strangest rock formations ever, the Trovants. There exists a museum called the Trovants Museum Natural Reserve in the south of Romania, outside the village of Costeschi. In this museum, you can find Trovants were strange living stones that can grow and even move. The museum has been commissioned to protect these strange living stones since 2004 and currently holds some of the biggest Trovants in the world. Trovants is a synonym for the German term Sandsteinkonkretionen, which means concrete sand. And the name was introduced by the Romanian naturalist M. Mergolsi in his work The Tertiary in Ostenia. Trovants are supposedly sandstone concretions that grow or move and even multiply as if they are alive. They usually have smooth and edgeless shapes and are cylindrical, nodular, and spherical. Trovants develop these inconsistent shapes as they grow and multiply due to irregular cement secretion. The weight of Trovants ranges from a few grams to several tons, and they can grow from a few millimeters to as large as 10 meters. The weird thing is that some of the tallest Trovants were actually quite small some years ago. Apparently, the smaller they are, the faster they grow, kind of like kids. Another strange thing about these rocks is that they also have ellipsoidal and spherical rings when cut, just like tree trunks. Not only that, they can also move like the sliding rocks in Death Valley. For example, researchers photographed a Trovant for around 14 days to see its average amount of steps within those days. And at the end of the experiment, they found that the stone moved by 2.5 millimeters. Although that's a very small amount of movement, it does prove that the stones are capable of walking on their own. Academics, however, are skeptical about the Trovants walking, but they don't deny the possibility of such movement. They think that one explanation to Trovants walking is the cooling or heating of the soil that may cause the stones to move. In other words, they think outside factors are affecting the stone and the stone itself is not actually moving. In regards to their origins, there are many theories as to how these rocks were formed. Some say that wind erosion and variations of temperature created them, and others say that it was due to water infiltration in sand deposits. Some even say that Trovants were created when seismic shocks occurred 6 million years ago and resulted in sand particles grouping into aggregates. Then there are skeptics who believe that Trovants are actually just pseudo-concretions that are improperly considered sandstone concretions. According to tests conducted by the International Geological Congress in Oslo in 2008, there was no mineralogical difference between Trovants and surrounding sands, with no distinct nucleus, and their cement is often carbonate type. Because of the varied opinions about how these Trovants originated, no one can really say for sure how they came to be. No one really knows why these rocks are able to grow, but geologists believe that a possible explanation for the rocks' movement is due to their mineralization property. Heavy rain will activate a chemical reaction inside these stones that results in increased pressure, and the pressure spontaneously makes the rock grow from the center to its margins and multiply, with a deposition rate of about 4 to 5 centimeters in 1,000 million years. Keep in mind, however, this is just a theory. What scientists really can't comprehend, however, is why these stones are also able to breed. And what I mean by breed is when a Trovant is exposed to water, a side of it will swell up and start growing a bump. When the bump reaches a certain size, it will break off and the new baby Trovant will appear, having a very similar structure to its parent Trovant. But it will have its own nucleus in a way, almost like a flower bud. Since this process is so similar to budding, it's almost as if it's an inorganic form of life, which is something unexplainable even to this day. Although Trovants are more often seen in Romania, they've also been found in a few other places scattered across the world. Trovants of different ages have been recorded in Russia, the Siberian platform, Wyoming, in the Carpathian Mountains in Central Europe. Local residents are also aware of how rare and special these stones are. As a result, many Trovants were used as building materials and tombstones for loved ones. Those practices have since ended because Trovants are so rare, and the Trovants Museum in Romania is now under the care of UNESCO. Anyway, I do have a feeling that these growing, moving, breeding stones will continue to stay a mystery for a long time. I mean, who knows? They might have been here since the planet formed. They might be representations of extraterrestrial life forms carried to Earth by meteorites or aliens, but we'll never know for sure until they hatch and take over the planet. Okay, I really hope that won't happen, but who knows? But deep down, I feel like they're eggs of some sort, and maybe when they hatch, they'll be these guys. As always, let me throw the question to you guys. What do you think these living stones really are? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. See you later.
Yeah. Let's see here. Catch up in the chat. Where was I at? Where was that? That's for you, my. Hold on a second. Where was that? Could be a rock in Iraq. Could be. Probably not, though. Donald says, Raptor, did you see Kelowna and the Okanagan is on fire? Well, the only thing tells us where I live is that we might have smoke from the fires here and there. Been known to. I have been to Kelowna, BC, Donald, says Uncle Bones. Donald says, is this the guy that has a food channel? I don't know. I don't know if he has a food channel. Beautiful area. Hope Leon's okay. It's crazy. Danny says rocks. Yeah, but they're different from normal rocks. Raptor says they might actually be alive, Danny. Raptor says that Donald, it was on nightly news in my area about Canada's on fire for about a week. After that, I don't hear anything. I don't even know if it's still burning, and the local news talked about it. Everybody's got fire on their minds right now, though. There's always fires. There's always fires. Bigfoot or rocks. Well, I don't know about that one. Uncle Bones says, get your rocks off. Local news talked about it for 2 days. It was about the fires in Canada. Donald says, Raptor caught a couple of shorts this morning talking about the fact nobody knows. Nobody knows. So, it'd be interesting to see if you could take Trovants to another place that has the same geological conditions but doesn't have Trovants. Because one, I mean, I don't know if any scientists have really tried to thinking along these lines where you're saying, okay, we got these geological conditions here. I mean, we got the same conditions over there, but there's no Trovants. So what if we took one and we put it over there and see what happens? Does it grow? And why does it grow? Does it reproduce? these rocks are growing, reproducing, and moving. Jen says, hi, Lock. Donald, sorry about your wrist. Bone, sorry for your loss. Danny, Raptor. Welcome, Jen. Donald Leon post on Facebook, marked this safe yesterday. It sucks that we have to do that. Like I said, in my world, everything we build is fireproof. There's no reason to build anything that burns. It's kind of a ridiculous concept. Oh, let me build a house out of kindling. This will work out fine. It's also food for termites and fungus. Some mold can grow. Bugs can eat my house. My house can burn up. I mean, all these bad things can happen. You could have avoided all of it just by building out of stone. Shit. Shit. Raptor says, Donald, I wouldn't doubt it. Like I said, it wasn't too much of info in my area about that. Multitasking. So yeah, I'd like to see that experiment happen. Anybody got Trovants? Any scientists who can take some small ones and take them to other areas, similar geological conditions, maybe situations where the geological conditions are a little different, and see what happens. Do they grow? And if they do they move? Do they reproduce like Trovants do in the areas that they do occur in? So get to the next video here.
In Romania, near Costesti village, some special stones are there. They are able to grow and move. Referred to as Trovants, the curious stones have puzzled experts ever since their discovery. No one can say for sure how these stones grow, and how they are able to move. The enigmatic living stones can grow from a few millimeters to as large as 10 meters. Trovants is a Romanian geological term that simply means cemented sand. The name was introduced by the Romanian naturalist G.H.M. Murgocci in his work The Tertiary in Oltenia. In 2004, the Musel Trovantelor, or Trovants Museum Natural Reserve, was commissioned to protect the unusual geological creations. You can even plant a Trovant in your garden and wait for it to grow. Locals also refer to the mystery stones as the stones that grow, since, after every rain, new formations rise from the ground. Each time it rains, the torpid stones spring up and strangely start developing. However, these enigmatic stones are not only able to grow, scientists have found that they are able to move from one place to another. Scientists have yet to successfully explain how on earth this is possible. According to them, any form of water rich in calcium carbonate is essential in forming a trovant, and that is also the key to make the rock grow in the presence of rainwater. After every heavy rain shower, trovants absorb the rain's minerals. The minerals are combined with the chemicals already present in the stone that later creates a reaction and pressure inside. The pressure spontaneously makes the rock grow from the center to its margins and multiply, with a deposition rate of about 4 to 5 centimeters in 1,000 years. Many believe that the mysterious living rocks came into existence due to earthquakes that rocked the region some 6 million years ago. Remember, if you ever go to Romania, stop by Costesti and check out these fascinating yet mysterious formations that continue to amaze both scientists and tourists alike.
So water is involved. They can't, like any other life form, they can't grow without water. I also think that they probably wouldn't really move like they do without water. If it's dry, they're probably in a more of a dormant state. And, I guess one question would be, have they, when they cut open these rocks, actually tested for DNA? You know, maybe there is some form of DNA, some kind of form of life that they haven't, you know, really identified. One thing that you have to understand, because mainstream science doesn't really fully understand yet what water actually is, and water is what gives life to things. It isn't just that it hydrates you and allows for all the biochemistry to occur. It literally connects you to what a lot of people would call the spiritual realm. The scientific explanation for what's going on here is the water molecule is shaped just like an antenna is, a Yagi antenna. It picks up frequencies, it picks up signal, and the universe is full of this signal. It's a type of consciousness going on there, and it may be what it, you know, like it is. It is what a lot of you, you know, maybe you believe in this spiritual stuff, but you don't actually, because to you it's magic. For most people that believe in the spiritual, it's a magical thing. They don't have a scientific explanation for it. Mainstream science doesn't have a scientific explanation for it. Most of them reject the spiritual, and they're atheists of a wholly different sort of atheist than me. They reject spiritual entirely. And whenever I've tried to approach an atheist with a scientific explanation for the spiritual, they reject it entirely. They're not even willing to listen. They stop being anything of a scientist and close their minds and will not think outside the box. And to my mind, that makes a typical atheist a cult member, a religious person, and it pisses them off when you tell them that. They do not like it. They're like, oh, no, it's bullshit. We just don't believe in. No, dude, look. Well, we don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. If you're not willing to listen to the scientific explanation for the spiritual and actually look at evidence for the spiritual and just reject it out of hand, you're rejecting science. You really are. And so anyway, basically anything that contains water is connected to the life force, the signal, and is therefore alive and conscious on some level. So these Trovants are alive. Now, they're not biological life. No. And there's a lot of things that would be considered alive to some extent that don't have anything that resembles biological life. It just so happens in the case of these Trovants, they do. They grow, they reproduce, and they move. Now, obviously, they don't got legs and they don't go running around. And really, the movement may be as simple as they, when it rains, the minerals absorb the water, and molecules are all shifting around in there. In order to cause the growth, you have to have a degree of fluidity is occurring. Molecules are moving around all over the place inside these rocks, and they're absorbing minerals from the ground where they sit, because they do need to absorb minerals, nutrition for the Trovants, basically. And then they grow, and because they grow, it causes them to shift around, and then that could be wholly what's responsible for the movement. The budding is a little strange, though. It's hard to explain that they grow these nodules on the side that grow into a new Trovant that eventually breaks up, similar to a lot of microbes. They bud like that. They form a little one off the side of them, and it breaks off, and now it's a new one, and it grows up and does the same thing. These Trovants do that. Jen says, have y'all been keeping up with Joe's health problems? Negatory. What is his issues, and is he open to trying to heal it like others? Papa Craig listened and has begun healing. A lot of people, like, they're like, well, you know, I've been eating carnivore for 3 months, and well, dude, you've been eating poisonous substances your entire life. It may take a long time to undo decades of damage. And on top of that, you may be so damaged that some stuff may not be able to fully heal. All I can tell you is that my blood sugar issues were extremely bad. I had problems. I didn't realize I had problems. At certain times, like no matter how hard I tried to fight sleeping, I was going to sleep. And if that meant falling asleep behind the wheel of the car, it would happen. It did happen. Luckily, I was able to not get in any serious accidents, but I did wake up one night in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, because I fell asleep behind the wheel, and I woke up when I hit the curb and found myself driving down the median of the highway in front of Walmart. That was not good. And so I had to start approaching driving a little differently. If I felt slightly tired, it didn't matter where I was, toll road, anywhere, I'd pull over the side of the road, lock the doors, and go to sleep. Because I knew it. Once I start getting heavy eyelids, I don't know. It seems like other people can fight it quite a bit. I couldn't fight it. I was going down. I would say really fucked up shit or do really stupid shit. Like, my brain was like, I was walking around. I felt like I was okay, but I didn't realize that the blood sugar was way too fucking low. And so I wasn't functioning properly. I just wasn't functioning right. Eliminating all carbohydrates was the main thing. Fully carnivorous makes the problem go completely away. I was testing my blood sugar constantly throughout the day, trying to get an idea of what was going on and how different things affect it when I eat, what time shit happens. And at the long story short, stop eating the fucking plants and you will no longer have blood sugar issues. A lot of people with diabetes have just flat out made it go away. The doctors never seem to be able to accomplish that, but simply changing your diet to eat what humans always ate, fatty meat, woolly mammoths and mastodons and shit. There was no salad bar. We hadn't discovered potatoes, so we didn't have baked potatoes. We didn't have bread. This is before people learned to fucking plow the ground and destroy entire ecosystems to grow a crop. Humans didn't do that for, millions of years. It was only this last 15,000, 13, really just 10,000. I mean, because it really wasn't widespread. But we haven't been doing it for long, basically. But anyway, so I don't know if is it something that he might be able to cure if we can somehow convince him to switch to a strictly carnivorous diet. Yes, keto will fix a lot, or just getting rid of processed foods will fix a lot, because that's a whole nother level of toxins. But the plants in all of these foods are toxic. They're loaded with all kinds of toxic substances the plants naturally produce, and in order to reach optimal health, you have to get rid of all the plants. And it's just so hard to get people to, they dismiss it out of hand. Like, you tell them, okay, look, here's some doctors you can go that consult with that'll explain why, but they don't even want to learn. Their mind is closed off. They've been taught that dumb food pyramid since they were a little kid, and they won't listen, even though their body is falling apart. And they're like, Oh, I'm just old. No, humans aren't meant to just start getting 100 different diseases. You know, you're not meant to, you know, you have a gut blowout every time you go to the bathroom. What's supposed to happen is a quick plop and hardly any mess at all, if any. You know, you'd be surprised. A lot of people, that's a, you know, because especially those that have serious digestive problems in that regard, absolutely life changing. And of course, that's how it's supposed to be. You know, nice, clean drop, and not some big, bulky, nasty, messy thing. And mental illnesses, that goes away. Um, Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, autoimmune diseases. Some women saying PMS disappears on them. They still have a period, they just don't have a lot of the negative uh, symptoms of PMS. People don't sunburn. Carnivores are saying, "Look, I can go out in the sun when I didn't used to. I couldn't just go out in the sun and be out there for very long because I'd get burnt." Now they don't get burnt. Eating plants is what's causing people to be susceptible to sunburn. Now think about that. You know, you're humans. We wear clothes. We're indoors most of the time. Back in the day, we didn't have an indoors, right? We spent most of our evolutionary history where, you know, at most we had some kind of, you know, tent, TP, maybe sat in a holler in a tree or in a cave if we can find it. There weren't, you know, caveman doesn't mean there was caves everywhere. Go try to find a cave, and you know, there's not a whole lot of them, right? You know, so it ain't like they're everywhere. You had to, so maybe they had to build a hut at some point, but at some point they didn't know how to build shit. They ran around for millions of years and in the sunlight with no clothes. If our ancestors burnt as bad as we have been, then shit, we would have died out. We wouldn't have survived. So all this shit adds up to, you know, basically what the archaeology shows us. Um, you know, humans are meant to hunt big, fatty, red-meated animals, primarily, and some seafood. All of the bones show it. The isotope data shows it. Brain size decreased once we started eating plants. Our teeth started going bad once we started eating plants. Like the evidence is just there's a mountain of evidence that we're designed to eat nothing but fatty meat, and all these people now that are doing this are curing all kinds of shit that the doctors claim can't be cured. So I don't know. Hopefully someone can make Joe listen. At least talk him into calling Dr. Ken Berry, probably. Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Anthony Shafee, Dr. Sean Baker. These guys are doctors who know this stuff now, and once didn't, but they figured it out because they're actually thinking and using their minds beyond medical school. A lot of doctors, once they get that, they just they just go through the motions and mainly try to sell you drugs because they get kickbacks from the pharmaceutical companies, and basically they keep you sick and a paying customer for the rest of your life while you suffer. So hopefully someone can, you know, whatever Joe, I don't know what Joe's health problem is, but maybe this is something that can fix him, and it'd be cool to see another person in these circles cure themselves just like Papa Craig has. Raptor says, Donald, haven't heard anything on the news area, fires in Hawaii. I learned about it here on YouTube on short videos. What's up with Joe Sucklebones? Chiming in between, though. What? Raptor Jen says it's not good, Uncle. Inflamed spleen, lump in his liver, and broken rib, and they diagnosed him with cancer. Holy shit. Again, I didn't go to medical school, and I actually consider that a benefit, okay? Because they brainwash them guys. Once you're out of medical school, you have to fight your way out of the brainwashing to accept some things that they teach you different there. You know, because what are they going to do about cancer? Chemo, radiation, or cut on you? I mean, it's barbaric, dark ages shit, really, to my mind, based on what I know. It's barbaric, dark ages shit. I mean, chemo and radiation, I mean, those can cause cancers. So you're attacking a cancer with something that causes cancer. You know, that they poison you with chemicals and radiation. They poison both you and the cancer and hope that the cancer dies first. And a lot of times the cancer doesn't die first. So I can tell you what I would do for cancer myself is start fasting immediately. I mean, I'm not advocating anyone else do this. Do your own research and you do what you want to do. The first and most important thing to do in my toolkit, and because I've practiced some short-term fasting, it's because if you do fasting on a regular basis, even if it's just for a day or two, your body gets used to slipping in and out of it gets efficient at going in and out of fasting mode, right? Because there has to be some gear shifting, and it's harder for people that have never fasted, but you can still do it, but you're just going to have a rough shift to those gears, but it's going to happen. Personally, if I get a diagnosis of cancer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start fasting, and I'm not going to eat till the cancer goes away. What happens is, because your body destroys cancer cells every day, millions and millions of cancer cells form, and your body just says, well, we got to kill these bitches, you know. Now, sometimes you get an aggressive form, and your body starts losing the battle. Now, part of the reason why you're losing the battle is because your body's fighting 1,000 different toxins from the foods you're eating. So part of the problem is the reason why a lot of people are getting cancer. Part of the problem is you're constantly poisoning your body and hindering it from being able to fight things like cancer and viruses and all that shit naturally. So it's harder for it to do. But anyway, your body normally has a process of grabbing defective cells and old cells and recycling them. Your body normally does this, but when you're fasting, it kicks that mechanism into high gear and aggressively looks for and attacks defective cells. And what's cancer? It's defective cells. So if you're fasting, you're not bringing any kind of nutrition in. Don't even drink coffee or don't listen to those fucks. I'm fasting. I'm doing a juice fast. That's not a fast. Juice, you're taking a juice. You're not fasting. Stop that. Don't call it a fast. It's not a fast. Fasting is when nothing enters your body except for water and salt. That's it. Water and salt. And salt's important. You want to take salt in when you're doing this because you're losing salt from urination and stuff like that, sweating. But so what happens is your body has to aggressively go after these defective cells, and most cancers will go away as a result. If now there's some that it won't work as easily, but That's one of the things you can do. The other thing I would do if I felt I was in serious danger, well, really, it's not a reason not to do it. Start taking a lot of vitamin C. This is not really the right live stream to talk about all this stuff, so I'm not going to go into the mechanisms behind it. There's reasons why, and you cannot overdose on vitamin C. One day I took I think it was a gram every 30 minutes all day long throughout the day, just to kind of prove to the people that were doubting me. I was like, no, you can do this. So the problem is the higher it gets harder and harder to absorb the more you're taking, because you're not really meant to take it in digestively. Humans, there's something going on there. I'd explain it, but we don't need to put too much time into it. Those are the two things I would do, and more likely it's going to take out all the cancers. Broken rib, though. Did he get in a wreck? Did he fall? This inflamed spleen, lump in the liver. I mean, ultimately, again, I'm not a doctor. I can't legally give him any advice. Only thing I could do is urge a person to go seek a carnivore doctor, because it may be that a lot of his issues can go away by eating a carnivore diet. Broken rib, you just got to heal the damn rib, and it will heal faster on a carnivore diet. It will, because you're getting the proper nutrition for the human animal, number one, and number two, you're not bombarding your system with a bunch of toxins that your body's got to fight while it's trying to heal. So, I mean, it gets us back to I would recommend that he contact Dr. Ken Berry, and then Dr. Ken Berry may be able to put him in touch with someone that's more specialized in these particular conditions, but also understands that the best way to heal from everything is to eat carnivore. You're going to have a much better success, and you're going to get better faster. So I don't know. I said my piece. Dude can listen or not. In the past, I've been afraid to say something to some people, because, I see this person and then they got cancer and they don't, people get pissed. Well, who the fuck are you? You ain't a doctor. Pretty soon that person's dead because the doctors couldn't fix them. And I'm sitting here wondering, maybe I should have done something. Maybe I could have saved that person's life if I had said something. But I was afraid that they were just going to get pissed off, and their family was going to get pissed off, and everyone's an asshole. I'm like, you know what? I just need to be a bigger asshole than these fucks, and just tell them what I goddamn know, and then they can make the decision for themselves to heal themselves or fucking die, because the doctors are going to leave you to die. I've watched it happen over and over and over again. We tried with the cancer. You did some chemo and some radiation and all this shit, and it just keeps coming back. We can't do nothing. Bullshit. None of these doctors ever tell them to just start fasting. See, they don't want you to know that. The medical industry don't want you to know that. Because who needs a doctor to fix cancer if everybody can fix it pretty much by fasting, and when not fasting, eating a fatty meat diet? Piles of bacon, fatty ass ribeyes, fatty burger, and lots of eggs, egg yolks. Throw the whites out. The whites are okay to eat, but throw the whites out. You're wasting space in your stomach on egg whites. Give it to the dog. So I don't know. I'm thinking that going forward, I'm just not going to be afraid to tell people anymore. So look, your doctors are morons. They're going to fucking kill you. They have some successes, but that's success is despite them bumbling around with bullshit like radiation and chemo and slicing and dicing you. None of that shit's helping you, really. Fucking shit. Danny says California about to go get that hurricane, first one in 85 years. Well, sort of. They've had a lot of hurricanes. As I got Icon sent me an email about this whole issue, and he sent the list of different hurricanes that have happened in California. Now that may be the 85 years ago. May have been the a big one. That may be what they're talking about. But well, I mean, let's look at the list. 2020 Hurricane Guinevere. 2018 Hurricane Rosa and Hurricane Sergio. 2015 you had Hurricane Blanca, Hurricane Dolores, and Hurricane Linda. 2014 you had Hurricane Marie. 2006 Hurricane John. 2004 Hurricane Howard. 2001 Hurricane Juliet, and plenty more before that. What was it? 1997. There was 4 listed on Wikipedia that happened in the California area. So, if anyone's out there, because they're going to do it, they're going to say, "Well, this is evidence of global warming." No, it's not. Hurricanes happen. Hurricanes have always happened. And we haven't been measuring for very long to say, well, this one's the strongest one ever. That's evidence of global warming. No, it's not. No, it's not. Bone says, wow, I know he was hurting on his left side. That's all I know. Jen says, so if you get some time, send some love. You need to get him the right doctor, man. If he's got a standard doctor, that doctor's going to kill him. Danny says they just ordered the naval ships to leave ports in Southern California. Uncle Bone says getting old as hell. Rapper says hello. Jen question, does he say what kind of cancer he has? Uncle Bone says Danny, legit possible destruction if Navy is turning tail. Yeah. I mean, hopefully the people in that area of California recognize that there is a time to get the fuck out and get the fuck out. Donald says Mokes has self-diagnosed himself with a form of palsy. Half his face is not working. Yep, carnivore diet. Mogs, if you're out there listening, stop eating poisons. Every single plant is loaded for toxins for humans. Stand in front of a big painting that's an accurate description, accurate depiction of humans butchering a hunted mastodon. Now put yourself in that field. Do you see a salad bar anywhere? No. For most of history, they were just eating it raw, too. They weren't even cooking it. They were eating a big pile of fatty meat, including the brain and including the marrow. Those are the most important parts. There were no sides. There was no bread. There was no fields of grain. They didn't have that shit. That shit is very recent development that humans did because they were having a hard time finding prey because most of the prey got wiped out. The prey species that were still around were so reduced in number, there wasn't hardly anything to eat. So they had to start eating plants. They started to have to figure out ways to establish some level of food security because the animals were so few and far between. So they had to start like growing things because so few plants are really edible at all or tolerable that they had to actually just start to grow shit in a place and get rid of all the competition for that plant so that they could grow a lot of it to be sure that they would be able to have any food at all. Because most plants, you cannot just go out and eat most plants. You're going to fucking die. So what few things that humans could tolerate, they had to start doing this agriculture nonsense. But today we don't need agriculture anymore because we can easily make enough beef for everybody. Easily. Anyone that says any difference doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. There's plenty of meat. There's so much meat we're having to just blow some of it away because it's a pain. You know, these hogs, these wild hogs, man, they're just like vermin. Well, shit, eat them. We can't get rid of them. They're multiplying so fast that we can't get rid of them with just normal hunters, because normal hunters aren't killing them fast enough. So start eating those bitches. Start going out and say, hey, let's get really serious about hunting these fucking hogs. Hog isn't the best meat, but it'll do. It's way better than eating a piece of fruit. For humans, it's way better than eating a piece of fruit. But Mogs needs to stop eating fucking poisonous plants. Jen says he's going to be seeing a doctor soon. I don't think he has any solid type or stage raptor. He can go over to, if he subscribes to the channels of Dr. Ken Berry and Professor Bart K. Like, I know them two. They have live streams every so often. And sometimes if you get your question in earlier in the live stream, you're more likely, because a lot of times they get, cut off because they don't. But a lot they'll answer questions from people in the chat and drop this question, man. Say, hey, say, look, this is what I got. What should I do? And listen to Dr. Ken Berry or Professor Bart K. More than likely, they're going to refer you to, like, because they're going to refer you to a particular doctor, and they got to be careful about what they say because YouTube is asshole, right? But so I just get around it by saying what I would do. If I got cancer, I'm going to fast, and I'm going to fast until the cancer is gone. I guarantee you it will be gone. In almost every case, there's different types, so there's a few types that are a little more problematic. And then the high dose vitamin C, like I have right back there, a bag of vitamin C powder that is for a serious situation, so serious health situation, either disease or cancer or whatever. And then lecithin. And what you do, like, well, you really want like a jewelry cleaner, like creating the right vibrations to create the molecules. But what you're doing is you're creating liposomes. Liposome is a molecule, it's your cells are all basically a liposome, right? They got a bunch of stuff inside it. A liposome is a molecule that's hollow. Cell walls are basically the same thing as a liposome, but it's got modifications because the system that it's operating on, it contains DNA inside the cell, and there's a lot more. It's a lot more complicated. But the liposome is a molecule that's can naturally form in the right conditions, made from phospholipids, and so what you do is you make a solution of the building blocks of a liposome, which is in the form of lecithin, and whatever you're wanting to get a lot of into your system. And in this case, vitamin C. Vitamin C is probably the most important thing, but you can do it with pharmaceuticals or any other vitamin. You put a solution of the vitamin and a solution of the building blocks of liposomes, and then you can just do this in a blender. You're not going to have really good liposome formation, but you'll have some liposome formation. So what happens is as the parts, as the liposome forms, it forms around, because it's a hollow molecule. It forms in a spherical pattern. It forms around the vitamin C. So it's like a microscopic capsule of vitamin C. It's encapsulated in a liposome. Now, why is that important? Because the liposome can be absorbed right through the cell, right to the cell. It creates a very high absorption rate. So normally when you take a lot of vitamin C, you can't absorb a lot of it. Liposomal encapsulated vitamin C absorbs a lot. So you can get a lot of vitamin C into your system very quickly, giving your body what it needs to fight all kinds of shit. All kinds of shit. Germs, cancer, whatever. So that's my, one of my weapons there. But fasting's first and foremost. Raptor says, okay, when you can tell him, I hope he gets better. All I have is YouTube, and I can't do it unless he's alive on the air. Think you be safe yourself. Danny says Mogs needs to go to the fucking doctor. Yeah. What, is he refusing to go to the doctor? How does he even know what he's got? He had to go get diagnosed. Go as many of us behind him. Let him know, Uncle. Raptor says, I told Mogs Thursday night to go to the doctor. It looks like he had a mini stroke. He timed me out several times, but he needs to go. I've seen that look before in my family. It's not good. So you think he had a stroke, but he thinks he's got palsy? Okay. You got to be careful self-diagnosing shit. A lot of people do that and they get it wrong. Uncle Bun says, friends of ours' wife would fall asleep mid-sentence, Lockbeard. 5 minutes later, she would continue not missing the beats. Yeah. Yeah, that should happen to me too. Whatever that condition is, says Uncle Bones. It could be like low blood sugar. It really could, because your brain can't, and you like my blood sugar is getting down in the 50s. Your brain can't do a lot in the 50s. not properly anyway. I think I was walking around kind of like a zombie. I mean, I'd do my things. I would do things, and sometimes, scientific procedures in the lab. I could do it. Rep says, I like Moog show. I just don't want anything to happen to anybody. Just hope he gets to the doctor. Hate me if you want. Nobody hates you. Nobody hates you. I might hate you. I don't know. Jen says narcolepsy. Uncle Bone says, thank you. I cannot remember. Narcolepsy. Got you, Uncle. Sucks to have. Yeah, narcolepsy go away if you go to carnivore. It'll go away. And you should be you're carnivore, right? You are carnivore, right? Right? Okay. You stick to carnivore long enough, that will go the fuck away. It will go away. Donald says, I found fasting easy on keto. Yes, keto makes it easier. One of the things it makes it hard for people to fast is that they are eating carbs. If you go on keto, you break the addiction to the carbs. So that's what I advise people to do. First step is go keto. It's going to take you probably 6 weeks to get broke really well of the carbs. And then maybe try to start fasting, skip breakfast and then get to where you can skip lunch and ideally get to where you're eating once a day. Ideally. And then once you can get to where you can eat one meal a day, or at least get rid of breakfast at this point. Maybe you don't go all the way to one meal a day yet, but at least get breakfast out of it. Save time, and get rid of waste. You're wasting, like people are wasting an hour on breakfast, an hour on lunch, or maybe 30 minutes. I mean, you're at least putting an extra hour in the day that you can get shit done. And then go from keto to carnivore, strict carnivore, and then the magic really starts happening. And you'll get where like I was, I was going 2 days without food and working out in the gym both days after a full day at work, and with people in the gym telling me, you're going to pass out if you haven't eaten, lifting that heavy weight and all this. I'm like, well, watch me, motherfuckers. You have no idea. You don't until you've done this and you actually experience it. Because you tell people the story and they're like, yeah, yeah, but they're not. They're not. They don't believe you. Once you experience it, then you'll understand. Ask Papa Craig, man. Papa Craig knows. He has seen what happens when you eat what your species is designed to eat. And stop eating all those toxic shit that you're not supposed to eat. Raptor says, don't smoke or drink if you have a broken rib and sleep upright. Took me 6 weeks to heal. So they could do 18-6 easy. Jen Danny says, you're making me hungry. Now you want a hamburger? Thanks a lot. Well, hamburger's good, man. Just don't eat the bun. Eat the patty. Eat a nice burger patty with some, maybe you can add some cheese to it. Cheese is okay for most people. Some people can't do the cheese. You know, they got to get rid of the cheese. But Sleeping says, I fast all day anyways. That's good. That's real good. Raptor says there's a lot of hurricanes happening in California. You just don't see it a lot unless you watch the weather on TV. Yeah. Well, maybe this one will give them a really good scrubbing, wash all the turds off the street. Maybe it'll fall off in the ocean. We couldn't be that lucky. Unfortunately, geologically speaking, that's not possible. But they might get a good rinse. So who knows? Might be some landslides, mudslides that'll kill some people. Flash flooding that'll kill some people. Rapper says Donald, my great-grandparents told me in the 70s when I was a kid about 2/3 of California was going to fall in the ocean. Yeah, they were just telling you. They were just telling you a fun story, Raptor. California can't fall off. That's a myth. There's solid rock underneath it. It's not falling off. Spending, not spending. Yeah, a lot of people heard that myth. Spending with these doctors. Raptor says, Donald, back when they said a nuclear blast or major earthquake or volcano, and we're at 2023, makes you wonder. Hey, aren't you supposed to hide under your desk to escape all that shit? Donald says, yes, Raptor. I remember being scared kid thinking Russia would launch. Sleeping says, mostly lock. I'm trying. Mostly, better get with the program. Dr. Google Lockbeard. Well, all I can say is go consult with the doctors that they have the medical degrees, but have also done the research to understand and looked at all the evidence like I have. I've looked at a lot. I didn't go to medical school, but medical school actually teach you shit about nutrition. They teach you to diagnose diseases, perform some surgeries, and prescribe drugs. That's what they do. They don't really teach you much about nutrition at all. They're not nutritionists. Most of them are not qualified to say anything about nutrition. But if you go and read, enough actual science, and you've read enough studies that you understand how to read them and how to analyze studies and determine whether there's a flaw in it, because a lot of times the studies have flaws in them and it's not really useful information. Especially like if they're like animal studies, shit like studying what the effects of cholesterol is on rabbits is completely not useful to humans, because humans are designed to eat a ton of cholesterol. We need to. Rabbits are not. So of course it's going to fuck up a rabbit, but a rabbit study but they'll point to that rabbit study and say, well, see, look what it did to these rabbits. That means it'll do the same to humans. No, that's not true. Sometimes, depending on what the thing it is you're studying, there may be a correlation, but with something like rabbits and cholesterol and humans and cholesterol, a rabbit study in that regard has absolutely zero usefulness in regards to humans. So go read that stuff, or go read that trial where they did the fiber thing, because people always ask about the carnivore diet. Oh, where do you get your fibers? Like, well, you don't need fiber. What? I was always told you need fiber and blah blah blah, and if you don't get enough, you need to take some Metamucil and all that bullshit. It's like, tell me where a caveman was finding a tub of Metamucil. No, I mean, you go 6 months eating carnivore, eating zero fiber, and you'll see. I mean, that's your N equals 1. N equals 1 is where it's a study that you've done on basically on yourself, but there's only one person, so doesn't have any real scientific usefulness, but it's working for you, so it's useful for you as an individual. But the reality is, it's happened to a bunch of people. They go without fiber for months and months and months. Some of these people for years. There's been a few people for decades, no fiber, and guess what? They're not clogged up. And in that trial, if you go read that trial, I thought I put it on the screen one day, where they basically the people had chronic idiopathic constipation, and they were trying to figure out how to fix that shit because these people, they were trying to eat high fiber and it wasn't working. So what they did is they divided them into 3 different groups. One group was eating high fiber, one group was eating moderate fiber, and one group was eating zero fiber. The high fiber people at the end of the trial still had the most constipation problem. The people with a low fiber had less constipation problem. The people with zero fiber had zero constipation problem. Man, a 100% cure rate. You do not hear that kind of shit typically. 100% cure rate. That tells you that this is a fundamental biological fact about our species, that fiber is bad for us. It's going to fuck up your digestion. It fills your gut through with a bunch of just indigestible shit that just bulks up your turd, and it causes bloating. It causes inflammation of your guts and other tissues. It's bad. It's real bad. And so yeah. Get rid of the fiber. Eat carnivore. Alito Lycon. It's been some talk about California. Sleeping says, I'm going to have to save meat from night before or something. Have to figure out plan. After a while, it gets really easy. Like, it's real simple. Like, it simplifies your life. It really does. I mean, especially if you're only eating once a day. It's like, well, I mean, the other day I just threw 5 pounds of fucking ground beef into the crock pot, and just threw some. It makes a lot of grease. I end up giving some of the grease to the dog, says too much. But what I do try to do sometimes is thicken up the grease, like almost like trying to make a little bit of it. Try because you don't want to get rid of all the grease. Now, you may not be able to handle this much yet. As much fat and grease as I eat, you may not be able to handle it, but I'll try to save some of it by grinding up pork rinds and put them in there to kind of absorb it and kind of incorporate it into back into the ground beef, or powdered milk. Like sometimes a little bit of powdered milk helps thicken it a little bit, but you probably got to drain off most of your grease and just give it to your dogs. Your dogs will appreciate you for it. But and just cheese, or make patties and make burger patties or whatever. I mean, just real simple. And then, if you need cheese on it, put cheese on it. And if you like your burger patties fine without cheese, you're probably better off not to eat the cheese. But cheese is still animal fat and protein fermented, and that's a good thing. It's actually a good thing. So, or just take a steak and cook a steak. Don't worry about making an elaborate meal. You don't have all these sides and bread. Don't do all that shit. Just eat the damn steak. Pile of bacon, eggs, scramble your eggs, put some cheese on it, fry them sunny side up. It simplifies your life, makes your meal preparation is way less. You end up eating less food. You're better off. And any kind of issues you got, they will go away. If you got gut issues, they go away. You mentioned narcolepsy, that'll go away. You got blood sugar issues, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, all this shit goes away. Mental illnesses, all that shit goes away. Inflammation. A lot of times people's stomachs protruding to more. because all their organs are inflamed. They're in a condition of they're being attacked by toxins, and so your organs are actually pooching out your belly some because your organs are swollen up and inflamed. So you go into carnivore long enough, those organs will shrink up in your gut. Even if you didn't lose fat, your gut would not protrude so much. You wouldn't have that abdominal distension, that's a thing in bodybuilders. So you see these bodybuilders these days where they're lean as fuck and you see the abs, but their belly sticks out. It's because their organs are all swollen up from the steroids. Steroids cause enlargement of the organs, so it's a little different mechanism, but it's the same thing. It's abdominal distension, making it hard for you to get a flat tummy because your organs are actually swollen up, and that's not good. That's really bad for you. You need to get rid of that. Of course, a lot of people hear that and they're like, "It'll help me get lean." Yes, it'll help you get lean. The most important thing is your health. You can be lean all day you want, but if you're not healthy, ear rubs for Loki. Sleeping Beauty suggests keto to carnivore lock takes time. Yeah, about 6 weeks or so. Shift over, gradually. It's easier for a lot of people to do that. Oh, the chat jumped on me. Where are we at? There we are. How you been, brother? Icon says, Uncle Bone says, Icon, no, not okay. Today. My brother, not so much. He kicked the bucket this morning. Icon says, "Is my hurricane ravings come through?" Yeah. A few people are talking about it anyway. Sorry to hear that, Bones. You have my best, sir. Says Icon. Icon says, "No playing doctor, getting your channel shut down." I'm trying to keep it. Yeah, he says he's not a doctor. Yeah, trying to keep it from crossing the line. Yeah, he's thinking before he talks. Hashtag LOCKBEARD. Jen says, everyone make him read this over and over. Read what over and over? Statements are not medical advice. Yeah. Going to get his channel shut down for discussing constipatory issues with a bunch of shit. Yeah. Yeah, don't try this at home, says Uncle Bones. Donald says, I was talking about Moog using Google to self-diagnose. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you can get it right if you're good at, sorting shit out. But sometimes people, they don't want to believe the truth. Like stroke is no joke. So if you're in denial about that, it could make it to where you kind of avoid the part that says, you had a stroke, dude. Icon says, Uncle Bones, hold my beer. I got to take my Metamucil. Yeah, statements are not medical advice, says Jen. Icon says, the land of fruits, nuts, and flakes is going to get a power washing. Yeah. Yeah. Power washing. Hopefully they have sense and they evacuate. Problem is, they'll probably have the same problem Hawaii did. The cops are going to have the roadblock and said, no, you need to go back where you were. Why can't we go down this road? Reasons. You can't go down this road for reasons. Now, there's one case where the person was talking about how the reason why they didn't want them to go down this road was because there was a down power line. But the power line wasn't energized, for one. And number two, there's a holy shit storm of Armageddon fire blast furnace behind them. You let the people through. But these cops, man, holy shit, these cops are useless, some of them. They got people killed. Cheddar is still on the menus, boys. Can we get back on rocks? Says Donald. Yeah, we'll get back on it. Let me catch up in the chat. I'm gonna try and catch up. Cheddar ain't leaving my menu. Yeah, I'll always eat cheddar. I eat tons of cheddar. Eat a ton of cheddar. Cabot, seriously, sharp cheddar is a big part of your diet. Yeah. Yeah, and it's you know, it's good. Cheese is actually pretty good. But some people can't handle dairy, so you know we'll work for cheese. It's still animal fats and proteins, and it's digested by microbes or fungus. So it that's a big discussion to go into. But Jen says, is cheese change given as curds? What? Icon says it is here, Jen. Otherwise, cottage cheese curd is the usual change. Yuck. Oh man, I had cottage cheese today. Large curd, always large curd. Full fat if you can get it. Okay, walking rocks. Can we go back to walking rocks? Says Jen. Well, I don't really walk. They don't really walk. Here's another short video. If I computer cooperate, come on now.
There's a small town in Romania called Kosteci that's home to mysterious stones known as Trovants. These bizarre rock formations have geologists all over the world intrigued and puzzled. The more you learn about these Trovants, the weirder they'll become. Just wait until you see what they do. Anywhere you go in the world, you can find natural wonders that will leave you in awe. Anywhere you go in the world, you can find natural wonders that will leave you in awe. Just take Kosteci, a small village in Romania, for instance. Strange stones called Trovants have formed all over the grounds of the village that left geologists scratching their heads. For the last 100 years, local residents have known about these Trovants. Trovant is a term used in Romanian geology to describe these spherical cement clumps of sand that were created during seismic activity nearly 6 million years ago. Something very bizarre takes place here nowadays, though. There are several locations in Romania that contain Trovants, but Kosteci has the most impressive variety. The varying sizes and shapes of the Trovants make for quite the scenery, but their odd shape isn't even the strangest thing about them. After the stones come into contact with water, they grow in size as if they're alive. Depending on each one's size, heavy rainfall allows them to expand anywhere from a few millimeters to several meters in diameter. Scientists believe the reason for the expansion is largely due to the high mineral salt content in the sediment that lies underneath the hardened exterior. When the surface of the rock gets wet, the chemicals spread, which puts pressure on the sand to expand or grow. Trovants have been known to move locations on their own, much like the famous rocks in Death Valley that slide through the sand unassisted. They move at an incredibly slow pace, of course, but they do it on their own nonetheless. The Kosteci Museum in Romania was created to protect these unusual geological formations, and it attracts tourists from all over the world. Everyone is stunned when they see the Trovants scattered on the ground. A massive earthquake is said to have created the first group of Trovants. The seismic activity broke apart thousands of tons of stone, and large amounts of sediment hardened on top of stones lodged in thick sandbeds. Another aspect of the stones that puzzles geologists is their internal structure. Much like tree trunks, when the stones are cut in half, you can see a number of rings. Geologists are unsure how this happened, but they're working hard to find out more about these mysterious Romanian Trovants. These Romanian rocks are certainly just some of the amazing mysteries nature has to offer. It's so cool how certain natural minerals can come together to create such an unbelievable reaction. It's like the stones are alive. What an incredible phenomenon. Mother Nature, what do you have in store for us next? Share this bizarre discovery with your friends.
Oh, hell. Donald says, this reminds me of them critters on Star Trek. No idea why. Talking about what did they call those on Star Trek? tribbles. They call it you talking about little fur balls, tribbles. So yeah, it may come to be that where science has to recognize that there is some level of life to these rocks, and we really need a lot more study. Like, they don't know how they start, because you got to ask, well, if the rocks are concreted together, why isn't the whole ground concreted together? Because the ground, the soil and the sand, that's where the minerals are coming from. So why is it these rocks are taking up those minerals and absorbing that water, that high calcium carbonate water and those minerals, and forming these rocks on the surface? But, well, if all that mineral is in the ground, why isn't the ground turning into rock? So that's a question to ask. And I mean, we could try to break down what may be going on. The rocks being on the surface, the rock is dries out, but the ground stays more moist. That could be a part of the issue. But the reproduction that occurs, the rocks bud and create babies. So something may be up there. It doesn't have to be a magical thing, but it's bound to be a scientific explanation that we'll eventually fully understand. Triangle taverns, Trovants, triangle Trovants, tribbles. Dang, it's spell check. Yeah, spell check. The trouble with tribbles. Beautiful picture, says Sleeping Beauty. Let me play this another video.
Roughly 6 million years ago, paleo-earthquakes created a type of geological phenomenon called Trovants. They are also known as the Stones of Costesti, after their most famous location in Romania, or the Living Stones. Romania's rare Trovants were formed under highly complex circumstances involving seismic shifts, sand sediment in rivers and rain, and lots of time. And the locals of Costesti, Romania, consider them to be alive, having witnessed them grow, expand,
I think I need to go meet some of them locals.
And move over generations. The Romanians have turned the Trovants into local legends and myths. For geologists, Trovants have long been a captivating mystery. What are Trovants? Trovants are made up of a hard stone center surrounded by sandstone and vary in size from extremely small and pebble-like Trovants to stones weighing several tons. Although most Trovants are made from sandstone originally, geologists have also found some made from gravel or gritstone. Trovants are an incredibly exciting and unique type of rock formation found within specific areas of Romania. How are Trovants formed? The name Trovant is a synonym from the German word Sandsteinkonkretionen, meaning cemented sand, which explains how these rocks are made. Trovants can only be formed when sand accrues with sandstone deposits around a hard stone core and is cemented by water that has a high concentration of calcium carbonate. This mixture melds together to make these truly fascinating rocks known by locals as the growing stones. What makes them so exciting is that the locals have witnessed them grow and multiply over the years. Due to the elements it takes for these rocks to be formed, they go through an unusual process that makes the rocks appear to grow and move. Do these strange geological formations really grow? The answer is yes. For all intents and purpose, they do grow, but Trovants grow in a very specific, unique way. When there is unusually heavy rainfall in the areas Trovants are found, they tend to absorb minerals in the rain. Along with the formation of the sand and sandstone deposits already present as the shell of the rock, a chemical reaction begins, putting immense pressure on the inside of the Trovant. This pressure from a chemical reaction expands the Trovant outwards from its core towards its outer crust, making the rock itself grow. On the surface of the rocks, small deposits are pushed outwards, adding to the rock face, leading to their name, the growing stones. Overall, Trovant growth is a rather slow process, and the rate of growth is only around 4 to 5 centimeters, 1.6 to 2 inches, in 1,000 years. But over the millions of years, the rocks have been growing. Some truly beautiful and particularly interesting formations have been created. Bubbles or boulders. Over the years, geologists have cut open numerous Trovants to see what they are made of, and found that, not unlike tree rings, these geological formations also have multiple ringed, elliptical layers inside. This is because the rocks effectively grow through bubbling outwards when rained on, and under those conditions they pick up further deposits of sand from their area and continue to grow slowly over years. This explains the layers the geologists noticed within the Trovants they cut open. Trovants also move, albeit super slowly, but they do travel to some extent. Because these rocks are picking up surrounding sand when it rains, they are effectively changing the landscape and creating a path for themselves that allows them to dislodge and move small distances over significant periods of time. Conclusion. So Trovants aren't technically alive. This isn't some horror movie waiting to happen. However, these rocks do change over exceptionally long periods of time. Although not strictly alive, Trovants have some characteristics of something that is living. Although not sentient, these rocks do grow and move. It is not surprising that they have become the stuff of myth to the locals over the centuries. They are the closest thing to living we can consider rock to be, and have been around much longer than any human on the planet, thus having encountered more life than all of us.
She said this isn't a horror movie waiting to happen, but what does she know? She don't know shit. What else did she say that I thought was wrong? She said they weren't sentient. She don't know that. And like I said, as long as there's water part of the whatever the thing is, it doesn't matter what it is. It's going to have some level of consciousness to it. So the people who are animists, who believe everything is conscious, are somewhat correct. That they believe everything is alive. Consciousness is required for life. And so there's water in those rocks. So there's a degree of consciousness there. Icon says, we have concrete in our soil, layers just need to be mixed. Well, more like brick fixins. Chessboard's here, saying hello to everybody. Raptor says, these rocks look like giant dino poop, just saying. Everybody getting their highs and hellos in. Sleeping Beauty says, Lock, you would be a kick-ass history teacher. Would I? Would I? Maybe. Chessboard says, Lock, internet keeps dropping out tonight. I missed the walking, talking friggin' rocks. We'll watch later. Blessings all. Yeah, we kind of got a dietary diversion there with me trying to save people from poisoning themselves with plants in their diet. Might be better off eating these damn Trovants right here. Yeah, hopefully there's some scientists out there experimenting with them. Take some Trovants to different environments and see if they continue to grow and reproduce themselves. Um, because if a Trovant can can grow and reproduce in another environment where there aren't any Trovants, well, why aren't there Trovants there if it isn't something that has to be started from a previous Trovant? Like, so it isn't just a geological phenomena. There is something going on there beyond just geology. Something there, something about there being a life form there. So take it to take some to different environments that are similar to what they came from, but there's no Trovants, and see if they grow and reproduce in that new location. Science teacher, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I'd have to have enough patience. Chessboard says, I'll leave you with this while I can. Johnny told teacher a little boy hit him in the head with a sexy stone. Teacher, there is no such thing, Johnny. It was a fucking rock. Have a good night, Chess, says Jen. Chessboard's going to be here all week, folks, with his stand-up comedy. Danny says, I am about to poison myself with vodka and drugs. Don't do it. Don't do it, Danny. We got to keep you alive for a long time. You got a lot of channels to maintain, buddy. You got a lot of channels. If you die from the alcohols and the drugs, you might not be able to stay around anymore. Sleeping Beauty says, alcohol, stupid, just smoke drugs. How do you know he meant that kind of drugs? Maybe he meant some of that Hunter Biden stuff they left in the White House. Icon says, last time I drank vodka, I needed to make a bong. Needed to make a bong. Raptor says, you professionals just take it easy and go slow. You be all right in the morning. You won't hurt so bad when he wake up. Say what? Let's talk about when you wake up. I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about there. Yeah, this is just another one of those things where it's a horrible missed opportunity for some research. Now, maybe there's some scientists doing some of the things I have in mind when it comes to Trovants, because there's more I have in mind. But yeah, I need the funding to do all this research, though. I need the funding. And no one's ever going to give it to me, though. So the answers that could be found will never be found. Danny says, if I quit smoking and drinking, I would probably die. Weed and vodka from the Ukraine. Some of that Ukrainian vodka. Sleeping Beauty says, haha, luck, Hunter Biden stuff. Yeah. Fucking Hunter Biden. The mixed drink you created. Danny put a link in the chat for you guys. The mixed drink that he created. Icon says, need to make a bong from the glass bottle. That bong would tear your head off if you weren't careful. Say what? There is video for this for this guy. He's walking around in the woods picking up Trovants and looking at them. But he's kind of hard to understand. He has an accent. English is definitely his second language, I think. But a lot of people might be walking around this woods, and if they don't know what Trovants are and what to look for, they might not realize that that rock there is not like other rocks. It grows, and it reproduces, and it moves. Rep says glass bongs have been around since 70s and use ice cubes, better effect. What? For a can. Cubes, yes. You know, teaching your drug secrets in the chat. I hadn't had time to look and see if there's any updates about the entities attacking in Peru. I know a lot of people have latched on to the idea that they're just miners, illegal miners that are using jetpacks, but I think that's just a cover story. That they may actually be dealing with something else, and it's not alien though. I don't buy it that it's alien. You know, if it was aliens, where's the spaceship, right? Some kind of other kind of entity though that lives in the forest. And so I don't know, but it seems like that story is almost vanished out of sight. And you know, even the Maui fire story, you know, maybe being used to distract people from other things that are going on. So Icon says, hey, here I made a bong from one of these. Raptor says, the Sleeping Beauty, a toilet paper roll and aluminum foil is better for you. Doesn't hurt your lungs as bad. Bunch of druggies. Jen says, I got to work in the morning. Going to get myself ready for bed. Good night. Yeah, we're probably done too. If we could find Bigfoot might be able to tell us what these Trovants have to say. I think it might be worthwhile to try and achieve some level of try to communicate with the Trovants to see if there's any intellect actually going on there. Why not? Anyone out there want to fund that research? Send it to my PayPal in the description of all my videos, please. If I get enough money to do it, I'll fucking do it. I'll go to Romania and get some Trovants and figure out how to talk to them if they can talk. They might not be able to, you know, there may not be any intellect there, but there's definitely some level of consciousness. So have a good one. So yeah, so I don't know about the Peru situation, and I haven't heard of any new Bigfoot sightings or anything lately. Not that I've heard of, anyway. Icon says, Did anyone check to see if the Trovants give off any kind of current? Not that I'm aware of. There's a whole bunch of, dude, my mind's running too. All kinds of different things to check to try and figure out what's going on here, because it seems like it may be more than just, you know, geological processes. But, you know, all these experiments require a lot of time and money, and maybe nobody's willing to do it, you know, because they're looking at it, they're like, that's just a fucking rock, who cares really? But you know, some cultures still, it not even just Trovants, like just any big boulder, you know, like in Iceland, I think, where they'll actually, if there's a big rock there and they're building a road, they'll just make the road around the rock instead of keeping the road straight, because they feel like they're disturbing something alive if they move that rock. And I don't remember the exact belief, but you know, that maybe there's some kind of fairy folk associated with the rock or whatever. Of course, sometimes superstitions like that could just arise because and they don't really understand the original reason for you don't move rocks. But maybe, you know, it originally was when you move a rock, a snake comes out and bites you, or somebody gets squashed by the rock, or something goes wrong when you move the rock. So just don't move the damn rock. And then that culture passed down over the generations. The original meaning and reason behind the idea was lost to time, and they just come to believe, well, you'll piss off the fairy folk if you move the rock, you know. And then that may not be actually what the original reason for the cultural development was. But yeah, I'd certainly like to see what the electrical properties are of the Trovants. Sleep Beauty says, good night, guys. Good night, Lock. Take it easy. All right. I guess we'll wrap her up. Don't know when I'll do another live stream. If it's going to be hot as hell, I might not be doing them, but we'll see. But thank you everyone for coming. Let me see if nobody's chatting over on Rumble, but there's 5 watching over on Rumble, so thank you all over on Rumble, and thanks everybody on YouTube, and I will see you next time.